Tell us about yourself, who you are, and why you're the right choice for mayor.
I'm Don Hedrick. I've been kind of active in the town's. I'm not quite warmed up.
Okay.
I'm Donald Hedrick. I came to Cal Poly in the mid-60s and graduated from there. While I was there, I was the chairman of the Public Relations Commission on College Union. And also I was the president of the motorcycle club on campus. And after college, I hooked up with Grassroots 2 as one of their board members. And then in the early or mid-70s, I was the treasurer of EOC, representing Grassroots on their board. And then I settled down to business after that and got my business together. I was an artisan doing metal sculpture, but I did so much work with fixing people's things that were broken, and that became a welding business for many years. In this same block now for 45 years as a welder. Well, in the mid-70s, no. Can we edit some of this, or?
Yeah, well, so that's a little biography we were looking for, and we just want to know, why do you think you're the right choice for mayor on November the 3rd?
I have a love of this town. When I came to college, it was what I fell in love with, our town, our hills close by that we could focus on them. And that's just something that has stuck with me all along. I love how our town had such access to visual of the mountains nearby, and we have a quaint historic town that I think we need to keep our history. Our town has been assaulted by developers from far and wide. They come and are plucking the cherry out of our state, and I would like to help preserve our town's integrity as a historic mission town. So our town is being eroded by all these high-rising developments that dwarf our history and make our town into a Gotham City of shadows. And I would like to help keep this town on a course of honoring its history.
So if you were elected next month, what would your priorities as mayor be?
I would like to at least be a kinder, gentler hand on the tiller of this ship adrift that's been blown by the big money, special interest forces that want to take our town away from us. I would like to keep our town for the people that have been here all along, investing their life in our town, and they are being outvoted by the dollar of the corporations that are way too strongly taking our town away.
How do you think the city government, city council, mayor, etc., can help businesses through the pandemic right now?
I don't think they're very helpful. I think that some of our current leadership is more honoring of the Antifas and the Black Lives Matter things that are financed even by as far away as the Communist Party in China and George Soros. We need to be very wary of any attachments to those organizations. They're part of what wants to turn this country into a third world country. And our cities, they have to take what comes rolling down the hill. We need to be keeping in touch with our city's histories and not be trying to fulfill the mandates by state governments to build more houses here and there so much, but other towns don't have the constraints of such nice hills so close by that limit the development that could even happen in this town without turning it into a stack and pack along the tracks that we seem to be getting.
And you mentioned Black Lives Matter. As we've seen, there's been a lot of protests related to that here in the city, and calls for police reform, really more than any other place we've seen on the Central Coast. Why do you think that is, and what's your takeaway seeing that movement here?
These are outside interests that have no place really in our town. I think they even have keywords like what's that key word?
Well, again, why do you think there's been so many protests here and calls for police reform, and your thoughts about that?
Well, the son of our mayor has been up in Oakland being an organizer. I mean, not Oakland, Portland being an organizer of that mess that's been going on for 100 days or more. These are outside interests funded by questionable sources that are turning our portions of our people, and it doesn't take but a small percentage to create such chaos. I think the people, the normal people in this country, do not want to see all these riots and things that are being forced by outside interests. If we had to depend on our own motivations, we would be fine. But we got contamination from world forces that we need to respect our local and not be so attached to these socialist ideas. And I would also say we need to also keep our sovereignty of this country, and sovereignty comes all the way down to the city level. That we don't need to be an escape ground for all the people that wants to come to this country. We need to have our door open, but they got to use the door. And we should have more immigration by merit instead of the cartels and the people that have no things to offer our country except to be invited by the wrong elements of our own government that want to turn our cities into sanctuaries. Our cities need to be a sanctuary for the people that have been here and invested their lives in our cities, and to take anybody from far away that will cooperate with the socialist concept and erode our votes, the power of our votes down to we need to keep our sovereignty in this country, and voting is part of it. People from all over the world shouldn't be invited in to vote here. Okay.
If I could ask you another question, what are a couple of other issues that you'd like to bring up that we haven't talked about, that you hold important?
Parking and traffic. The city governments are so easily kicking the can down the road for parking. There's too many cans in the street already, and we have gridlock. When we build all these high buildings to cram more people into the town, they ignore that people come with their cars. They want to turn us into a bicycle town, and that's another thing that's tearing up our traffic in the town, is all the extra accommodating of bicycles, when you don't really hardly see bicycles in the bike paths, but they're there and big. And downtown especially, they got 3 lanes reduced to 2 lanes. So the delivery trucks park in the center of the street because they can't park in the bike lane. Parking, we need to have our parking plan better ahead of time instead of knee-jerk reactions to catch up. And when our developing departments, they're so easily giving exceptions to the parking laws and discounting how many parking spaces a developer needs to accommodate. As it is, it's down to maybe a car space per bedroom at best. But I've experienced seeing some places with 7 units only have 6 parking places. And parking is very key to developing, except that an orphan is kicked down the road like a can. Somebody else has to deal with it. But that's not right. We need to be helpful of our own citizens. And
okay, I appreciate that. Those are the list of questions. You said this was built in 75?
Winter of 1975 into 76. This is ferro cement. It's only an inch thick or so, plastered with Portland cement. This graphic was inspired by an email from an aide of the mayor when I ran for mayor the first time.
Yeah, there.
This is the old camper shell from my Dawson truck, and it's being rebuilt. Being close to the Goodwill, that they caved it in and broke it while they were hopping over the fence to the Goodwill. I call the Goodwill. It goes back here. And then it gets this is a total mess in here. It hasn't been, well, high security, you gotta unlock it.